Welcome
Welcome
to
to
Shade and the
Shade in the
City.
City.
I'm your girl, Treese.
It's Nels.
And today we're jumping into our review of Real Housewives of Atlanta, y'all. Are we still in season 15? I feel like we're in 16, but it's 15, I believe. Don't get me lying. Episode 3, and I ain't even gonna hold you. I ain't
It's a
got it.
star. A star is reborn.
Thank you. I ain't got it. So
I ain't got it.
if you guys have not already, please make sure that you've hit that like button.
And the subscribe button.
And y'all, let's get into it because I don't know how you drop in the comments. Tell us what you thought about this episode. I personally thought it was like a little, it was a mix between dry, but then at the end, I cried tears of laughter. So it made up for it. So yeah, let's get into it and let's get shady. All right, so we see Sheree preparing. Well, she's preparing for
she
brunch.
invite
She's not.
she
She's not
invited
preparing the brunch.
she invited people over for brunch. That's
Right.
she's
I ain't
getting
mad at her, but you know
chef
what my
catered.
first thought was? I said, "Are we gonna see the same chef next season?" Because you know Sheree don't like to pay her bills, and I was like, "We've seen her twice now," which means Sheree might be turning over a new leaf.
All I was thinking was, Martell, you ain't special.
Oh, right, because she invite everybody over to brunch, right?
And,
That,
no,
that's that's just what she
and
do,
no, and catered by a chef.
right? That's just what she do
I was like,
in
oh,
in
okay.
in the chateau.
Yeah, right. I was like, okay, she got Martell getting him a little
And
catered
you know what?
brunch.
Actually, because we follow her on Instagram, I feel like every time I see her like post something in her house or in her kitchen or when her family's getting and she has a beautiful kitchen, so I understand why they congregate there. But now that I think about it, the chef, she always has a chef in there. Sheree, I don't look, if you gotta not pay somebody so you can always have a chef, hey, do whatever you got to do, boo. I ain't mad at it. I can't check you. So anyway, uh, so Sonya and Marlo join her, and they talk about how much fun they had at BravoCon and how all the fans were going crazy. And Sonya says that her and Drew were not on the best of terms since the reunion and the hair flipping situation. But then she says that Drew sent her a text saying she kind of wanted to mend fences. So,
Oh, you did a lot.
oh, I'm sorry. And then only for her to get on stage at BravoCon and switch up. She said, if we locked in, ain't no
Ain't no
switching.
switching up.
But
They was never locked in.
they were never locked in. So they discussed how Mama Joyce was constantly throwing Todd under the bus during the whole BravoCon. And Marlo says Kandi needs to stop being worried about, her and more worried about what the streets are saying about what's going on under her roof, i.e. the streets being Mama Joyce. Yeah, and then she basically Sheree brings up the meeting with Kenya at the distribution center, and talks about how she wants them to respect Martell. He's such a great guy, and he's not the guy that we see on Love and Marriage Huntsville across our TV screens for the last few years that completely dogged his wife out and destroyed his family. No, that's not who he is in person. He's a really great hearted person. If he was that person that we saw on TV, she would never be attracted
We
to him.
just always catch him on camera at a bad time. Always. And Drew and Ralph went on a rock climbing date following Dr. Ken's counseling advice.
Don't she got knee problems? I don't think that
I
was a
think she
good
got
thing.
all types of problems.
Right.
But she trying to save her marriage.
I hear you.
Knees and all. She need them knees.
When she said that, would they wanted to do that for a date? Now, you know how I feel about being active for a date. If you just want to go, if it's not like putt putt golf or like being active, jet skiing, like being active for a date is like rock climbing is just not.
It's not a you thing, huh?
No, I mean,
you said, I mean, no.
It might be something I do with my kid.
So Drew wants to talk about the song that they came out with and feels like, they could be like Jay-Z and Beyonce. But after how he wants her to do all the work, I think he's right in saying that they're more like Ike and Tina. Now, he said basically he got his own shit to worry about. He's given very much Kandi. And then also, so I didn't know that Monyetta is a whole choreographer.
I didn't either.
I had no idea, but she's a choreographer. And
which
Kenya
makes sense now that I think about it. That makes sense how she ended up with Neo.
Oh, you think she's always been?
I think that she probably always has been. And I mean, because you would think like,
but no, because Neo goes looking in. Neo found his last wife on IG.
Well, this is before, you forget, this is before IG days. You understand?
Video vixen. Oh, please. You didn't need IG back then.
No, I think what I'm saying is I think that that's probably how she got into those, outside of being the mother of his children. I think that's how she got into those circles.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, she is a choreographer, and Kenya is planning to use her services for her band, her Kenya Moore hair care band at the Classics. If y'all don't know about the Classics, y'all better find out, okay?
And can we talk about how I ain't gonna mention no names, but they know. I mean, I ain't gonna ask you, but why you don't want Monyetta on the show so bad? He said we don't want it, and I'm like, why don't we? I love Monyetta on the show. Are you not feeling her?
Like I see her that much. I think she's starting to come more around. No,
but I'm saying when they first started to feature her, and
I think she was boring in the beginning, but she was like a friend of the show.
Right. So I'm not gonna give you anything until you give me a check. Right.
And now she's getting that check, and now we're starting to see her more. She about
right. So I put it like this. I would take Monyetta having a peach over Sonya.
You're giving very much what's the word Courtney used? Hood when you say Monyetta's name?
Monyetta.
You add an extra little on there, like
little stank on.
Yeah, you give him a little hood. So Todd is back in town, and Kandi got the cakes out for her man. Yes, Kandi goes into her office to make her to-do list. It's super long, and Todd's movie is at the very, very bottom. Very bottom. I think she forgot about it. Don Juan tells her that, she needs to be just as active as he is for her when it comes to her projects. She's like, yeah, I know. Now, Monyetta stops by to congratulate Kandi on her new Broadway play that, of course, Todd is helping her work on. They also discuss BravoCon, where Mama Joyce shaded the hell out of Todd, saying she would have picked anybody for her daughter who had a decent job.
He's a whole producer on a show.
I don't understand. What does she mean?
On the show that your daughter is on.
I don't understand. I don't know. But what really bothered him was the fact that it was Kayla who was the one that told him. So he found out from his daughter. And Kandi said, she really don't care what her mama think about her marriage. She just need to respect it. And I can agree with that. Now, Drew and Ralph have invited his newfound cousin over because
Courtney.
Courtney. Yes, because apparently they've been talking a lot. And Candiace calls Drew to let her know that, her friend Shamari is not going to be performing with her any longer. So she invited her to do so. And of course, she is over the moon because we know this girl just want to be on stage. She just want to sing.
She just want to
sing. And she says she inviting all the girls. This is what I'm saying. I don't think she knew initially. She was just excited. She's like, I'm inviting everybody. Everybody come out. Bring them out. Bring them out. So Courtney got there with her ex, who was also her baby daddy, who was also in a movie with Drew 10 years ago, who was also in a group called Groove Theory.
Yeah. Tell me if you want me
to. I thought that was a whole lady.
Groove Theory.
I thought that was a whole lady. I remember the lady.
No, he was in the back. He was in the back, in the back. I've been doing my own
I
thing.
know her. Guess what? Guess what I thought? I thought she was a solo artist.
No, he was definitely in the group. He did the oh in the back. He did.
Oh, so they both like doing woo woo woo.
Woo. Can you woo woo woo?
Yeah, it was a
Oh
whole lot.
God, I'm aging myself. Go ahead.
It was a whole lot. I'm telling you, I thought she was a solo artist. I never heard of this man. I never heard of this group. Never seen that man a day before in my life. Now Drew said that she about to call Kandi on FaceTime and let her know what's going on. She about to invite her. Courtney said, well, I'm gonna go ahead and exit, stay left, go stand over here with these men's over here because I won't have nothing to do with that. Then she showed Courtney to Kandi while she's on FaceTime. Kandi like, why the hell you do that?
Why you out here
You know I don't like this lady.
Right.
Why? But you know what? Regardless, you know, Kandi says she will be there. She will be in attendance to support. Then they sat down and talked about the drama that happened and basically how tricky Sonia can be.
Marlo is out with the nephews doing her thing.
That was real Marlo fashion what she pulled with this.
Right. It was raining hard outside. I think she had to go pick up some amazing
the love bracelet. No, it was the love bracelet and some shoes. And she had
she made them come out to the car, and I was like, I wish I could get that service. That's
at Cartier you could.
So yeah, and everything seems to be going well with the life coach. I think the biggest thing from that scene was learning that she had lost an older nephew to gun violence. So basically she is a little tougher on William, and I always forget that other little boy name. And clearly this one is looking off in the distance. But she's worried about them, and it's hard on them because of that situation. So Drew brings Courtney with her to rehearse for her performance with Candiace. So this is why I was confused, because there was a rehearsal.
But it was the same day.
I think that you would at least practice before, right? So you knew what your was gonna be. I'm just we'll get there, Shade Squad. But we had a conversation before we even got on camera because I need clarification. Now, all the ladies show up to support. Even Sonya, Sheree decided to stay in the chateau. She said she wasn't feeling well. Now, things are still a little bit icy between Marlo and Kandi ever since the reunion. Sonya asked, "What's the deal? Why nobody is really rocking with Marlo?"
Everybody gave her a dry high.
Right. Monyetta brings up that she still has beef from Jamaica. She felt like Marlo was trying to play her. I'm not gonna lie. Again, I like Monyetta added to the cast, but this was a moment, and I think it was petty. And I think you got to find something better to go with, to lead with, Monyetta. But again, I'm here for you. I want you to be here.
She trying to make sure she stay. You know, they all did it. Look at Sonya in the beginning. Now she
and I feel like the way things went and the way things were turning, if you look at it, it was Sheree, Marlo. Last season, it was Sheree, Marlo. Damn, I forgot who was on. Sonya. Drew was kind of in the middle. But everybody was, so I feel like Kandi kind of needed backup this season. And then they just brought more people to dislike her, i.e. Courtney. Now, so anyway, yeah, basically Drew goes up there, does her performance. It's a small snippet, and the girls talk about
5 seconds.
43.25 seconds. And Drew, however, is on a high.
I was close.
Oh. Drew was on a high. She said, I did that shit, you know, I brought the house down. So
Kenya, her 40 seconds of fame.
So the girls go to talk afterwards, and Kenya is bringing up, I love Kenya because it's so shady, but she had no problem just coming out. Right?
I feel like she was actually.
Why was your moment so small?
You know what though? I feel like knowing Kenya, she could have been shady, but I think that was her actually thinking her thoughts through before she said it and actually being nice. Because we know Kenya can be like.
Yeah.
I thought that was a soft way of her saying it, actually.
True. Then, you know, Drew explains, and again, she's just so happy for her moment. And she's like, I didn't want to upstage Candiace. And again, what I said is to Nels
I
off
think
camera.
they can both sing, but listen, you ain't upstaging Candiace.
Right. Now, what I will say is that we've all, and I loved how they showed the clip of Shamari actually singing. Because if you've watched Encore or any other show where she showcases her voice, and we all know she has a beautiful voice,
And she always does. She always
right?
does.
There's no way Shamari would have got on that stage and woo 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 like that. It would have been a
She,
whoa whoa whoa. It would
she
have
do more
been
than that. She do more than that when she's singing around the house.
right. So I just was surprised that even if she was limited in what she could do, she didn't put her foot in it. You know what I'm saying? That was just me.
Guess what? Drew ain't Shamari.
That's true. So anyway, now Sonya asked about, basically BravoCon, and she feels like Drew is really iffy. I said the nerve of you, Sonya, but okay. And Drew talks about her unfollowing her, but she appreciates her showing up and they want to move forward. And everybody is just sick of this love-hate relationship that they have going on because it doesn't make sense. And I think it didn't make sense the first day it happened, and I don't want to go back in time, but we did cover it. If you'd like to go back and watch the review, you're more than welcome to. Yeah, no, Sonya,
And like it and
I feel like
comment on it.
Sonya started this. I think Drew was ride or die for her. If I'm not mistaken, didn't she pick Sonya up off the side of the road?
Mm-hmm.
Because her car broke down. I think Drew was ride or die for her. And trying to welcome her as a newbie and like take her because her first season was so rough. And Sonya just flipped on her. That's my
I
honest
don't remember
opinion.
exactly what happened, but after watching this scene, I do remember the whole with her when she was talking about the merch thing. I do remember where Sonya invited her and disinvited her or
Right.
uninvited her. I just don't remember
I
why.
don't know. That just my opinion. I think that, Sonya,
That's what I'm saying. I felt like she was trying to create drama when it was
right,
her first
to
season.
be
Just
to
just
get a
like
moment, to get a
just
moment.
just like Manetta. Now that she feels like, she's acclimated, she ain't got to do all that. Now it's Manetta's turn.
Right. So yeah, then basically they move forward. Courtney says that, oh, so then they want to bring up the Kandi and Courtney situation. Kandi brings up how, what Courtney said about her, being hood or ghetto and how she brought the hood out or something like that. And
If
then
only she heard you say Manetta.
huh?
I said, if only she heard you say Manetta.
Right. And here's my whole thing. Then all of a sudden, Miss Courtney is all of a sudden down with OPP. And she just, she from the hood. She ain't got a problem with being ghetto. Why are you so triggered? Bitch, I'm triggered because that's not who I am. And if that's who you are, that's cool. But why are you walking around now talking trash about me
First of
and
all,
making it seem like being ghetto is beneath who you are if that's where you're from?
I love Candy's response. Okay, she said, I'm triggered because you don't know me. I bring everybody out. I felt, all right,
Look, all
Candy.
she needed to say was, bitch, I'm
I'm
worldwide.
worldwide.
Okay. And yeah, they go back and forth. I ain't have time to get every little thing, but that was the main part of it. And then Sonya then wants to bring up Monieto's issue with Marlo and how she mentioned her being on the trip, talking behind her back. And Drew brings up the blaze in the shooting.
I
So
didn't know.
basically, it didn't go nowhere with Monietta and Marlo. Monietta wanted a moment, and Marlo didn't give it to her.
She said, is that all beautiful?
Right.
I said, oh, dismissed.
Right. She did dismiss her. And yeah, no, and then what the real it of the ending of the episode was is that Drew brings up or asks what happened with Blaze. I don't know if this is production coming in and trying to push this issue. I
Probably.
feel like I read somewhere or saw somewhere online, because I keep my ears to these YouTube streets. I feel like I saw somewhere online that Marlo did come out and say in a live that production was like pushing the cast members to ask about it.
Mm.
So for whatever reason, Drew asked about it and like your situation. Like if I was like, no, so what happened with your situation? And even though we all know it's a shooting, right?
Mm.
So Marlo somehow gets triggered by this and is like, no, you mean the shooting? And then she wants to walk off camera because she feels like, you know, all the Kandi stuff is swept under the rug and they can never talk
If she
about
don't want to
anything.
talk about it, she ain't gonna talk about it, and everybody
Right.
else is forced to tell their business,
And then
basically.
apparently her and Drew were talking after on the producer cam, which I'm like, is this a new thing? I'm like, I'm here for it. And we see Drew, like Marlo explode on Drew because I guess her nephew, which I was like, why did it take so long for this storyline to come out? If
What
that's the case.
I
She said
think about you're talking about the nephew that
the
passed away.
nephew that
I feel like I
because if
remember
you
that.
look at the history and when they went back to the footage of her talking about it, that was way, way back in Real Housewives days. So why are we just now really having a
No, I think she said it was a couple years ago.
was it?
Hmm.
God, wigs and makeup have gotten better in 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think she said it was a couple years ago, but she had text. Basically, I guess the issue was, um, she the nephew had worked at one of Candy's restaurants, and later on had an issue with the roommate and was killed or unalived. And she texted Kandi about it, and Kandi didn't seem to really care. But then the next day when they were filming, she acted like she didn't even know what happened.
Okay, so I completely misunderstood that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But
So basically, she's
was
saying
the
she's calling
but
her out.
she made it seem as if the nephew was killed at Candy's restaurant. That's why I was confused.
No, she didn't say the nephew was unalived at Candy's restaurant, but
Well, that's what I got from what I'm telling you what I think. And if I'm wrong, drop down in the comments. But I feel like I'm not the only viewer that probably felt like. So, do you mean that? And maybe I am. You know, sometimes.
let me tell you the vibe that I got. I didn't get the vibe that the nephew was unalived at her restaurant. I got the vibe that since the nephew worked at Candy's restaurant previously, that maybe there might have been an issue with someone at Candy's restaurant, and that's why the nephew was unalived. And
Mm.
now there was another shooting with her family member, with Candy's family member at one of her restaurants. So I don't know. I don't know if she was trying to say like it was a certain employee or what the case was. I don't know. But I think the main issue was the fact that um, Drew felt like she was trying not to trigger Kandi, but she was like, "You trying not to trigger Kandi," and Marlo basically. But Marlo feels like if she feels like that Kandi gets coddled basically, and when she wants to talk about stuff or when she doesn't want to talk about stuff, it's a problem. But when Kandi don't want to talk about stuff, just like with the nephew thing, then it gets swept under the rug. Because I guess that was a time that Marlo wanted to talk about it, and Kandi acted like she didn't know what happened, and it got swept under the rug.
So yeah, guys. Yeah, it looks like it's gonna get real crazy next week, but we appreciate you tuning in to this little late review, but we hope that you watch. Drop down in the comments, let us know what you think, if I misunderstood something. And yeah, guys, if you haven't already, please hit the like button,
You comment
subscribe,
and hit the notification bell.
and make sure you're following us on all the platforms, the TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and IG. And yeah, we will catch you next week for another review of Real Housewives of Atlanta. Have a good night.